With me for more on this is Mike Papantonio, America's lawyer and the host of Ring of Fire Radio. Pap, welcome back.
Tom, how are you?
Good. I understand you've stumbled across some pretty explosive news regarding celebrity lawyer Alan Dershowitz. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it's news that mainstream media has done a terrible job covering the story. Here are the facts. Dershowitz was a lawyer who negotiated a closed-room secret deal for predator Jeffery Epstein. This is the character who had reams of evidence stacked up against him involving a child sex ring, slavery. It's the only way that you can say to describe it. That he participated in more than 40 children. In absolute secret, Dershowitz negotiated this deal that forgave multi-billionaire Jeff Epstein for procuring sex with about 40 children, some of them as young as 12. Some of them were trafficked from other countries. So the prosecutors and Dershowitz sit down and come up with this deal that allowed Epstein to serve 13 months in a special private wing of a Palm Beach jail where he was allowed to leave every day for up to 16 hours. Basically, he slept there and there was no real prison involved. It would have carried, for the average person, would have carried the possibility of life in prison, Tom. This is part of that double standard that we're seeing in America now. And now Dershowitz is back in this story for a lot of other reasons.
And what are those reasons?
Well, Dershowitz and England's Prince Andrew were also accused of participating in sex with children at Epstein's house. Now, Dershowitz has denied all that. Prince Andrew has denied all that. But because of the plea that Dershowitz worked out, there's even more scrutiny. There's more suspect about what that plea was all about. Because here in the plea, very unusual, it was specified that any other co-conspirators who might have been involved with these children have total immunity for the rest of forever. I mean, for any involvement that they may have had. Very unusual thing to put in there, but it was put in there for this situation. Now, that becomes important, Tom, because Epstein's private pilot, Larry Vysotsky, came forward and he said that he had flown Bill Clinton around in the jet and Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak around on the same jets at the same time with those same underage girls where Epstein was on the jet. So a friend of mine in South Florida brought a lawsuit. And the lawsuit's now demanding that the case be reopened because of the disgusting plea deal that violated something that's called the Crime Victims' Rights Act. When it made a plea with Epstein, without informing the victims. The Crime Victims' Rights Act is very specific. You can't enter a plea on something this serious and without informing the victims, especially when all you do is slap this guy on the wrist who should be in prison. This is the type of thing that carries a lifetime prison sentence with it. Mainstream press has given all the players involved this incredible pass, Tom, under-reporting, under-investigating. They have Dershowitz out on the morning shows and the night shows telling his side of the story when I've had firsthand, have seen the affidavits, I've seen what's been filed in this case. It is a child predator case. And now Dershowitz is denying all of it, but in the process of denying it all, he's saying that the lawyers who brought this case are lying ambulance chasers simply trying to make a buck, which is not, it was just so far from the truth that it's obscene. Look, anybody besides a billionaire would be in prison for life for running a children's sex trafficking ring. And now these lawyers had the courage to go after these people and say, look, Epstein needs to be tried on this, and we need another shot at this because of this Crimes Act that says the victims must participate. And now what's happened is you have Matt Weissing's law firm down in South Florida that is going forward with this case. They're suing Epstein for defamation, and the reason I think that's happened is now we're going to start seeing some discovery take place, some questions asked and answered that maybe you couldn't get to before.
It's been speculated that I want to construct this question carefully. The question, you know, how did he get off? Why did he get off so easily? And not Dershowitz, but Epstein. And there has been some speculation that he had these girls have sex with so many powerful and famous people, and maybe at the time they didn't realize they were underage girls, so that later he could say to them, by the way, you just had sex with a 14-year-old, 15-year-old. Now I've got the dirt on you, so you're going to dance to my tune. Is there any? Is that even possible, or just way out of the realm of?
No, it's not out of the realm. That is what's surfacing in some of these depositions. The woman Maxwell that you've seen, who also was accused of being not only the participant in some of this stuff, but was the person who actually went after the children, brought them through the house. That's what she was accused of. When she was put on the spot, she left the country, back to the UK. Understand this. Dershowitz has been given the chance to come forward and give a deposition. Matter of fact, he said on the air when he was trying to call these lawyers in South Florida, Matt Weising, those first, when he was trying to call them liars, he said, look, just give me the right to give a deposition. Give me the right to serve an affidavit, and I'll do that. Well, the lawyers down there said, okay, great. We would love to have you give a deposition. He's avoided it at every turn. We would love for you to do an affidavit. He's avoided that at every turn. So what we have is a one-sided story that the damn brain-dead media is allowing to take place without the rest of the story taking place, because Dershowitz is a celebrity and he can call the morning shows and say, hey, I'd like to tell my part of the story. He was, even on the O'Donnell show on MSNBC the other night, where he's talking about his side of the story, and nobody's asking the tough questions about what his involvement may have been. Now, at this point, he has said, I didn't do anything. But the truth is, there are witnesses that say he did. So to attack these lawyers in South Florida and say they're liars and ambulance chasers and just there to get money is absurd. And so this case needs to be reopened. Epstein needs to be tried for this. He's a multi-billionaire, and you know what? It's pretty disgusting when these kind of stories surface and the government says, oh yeah, well, we're going to let you go with a slap on the wrist. Anybody else would still be in prison today.
The American media may be giving him a pass. I spend about an hour every night with BBC, and I got to tell you, they've been on this every day because of Prince Andrew, because Prince Andrew is one of those people who allegedly had sex with one of these girls. And one of the things, and they've been publishing pieces from this affidavit, I'm assuming it's the one you're talking about, and one of the things that they mentioned, I think it was in the last day or two on the BBC, was that Bill Clinton was on the plane with these girls, but that the girl who had, the young woman, she's an older woman now, who had provided the affidavit said he wasn't having sex with anybody. Do you think that one of the reasons why Republicans haven't jumped all over this thing and amped it up to the level of a Fox News 24/7 Benghazi kind of story is because there's no evidence that Bill Clinton was having sex with anybody? He just happened to be on the plane?
Well, at this point, look, at this point, nobody has pointed fingers at Bill Clinton. They simply, some of this information is out there simply to develop a witness list. Look, if you're at his house, if you're at Epstein's house, and you see a parade of girls coming in and out, constantly, and somebody says something's not up, well, you ought to be able to ask questions about that. You ought to be able to explore that further. Here, the Epstein team ordered private investigators by the truckload to harass and to threaten, offer money to families in exchange for non-cooperation with the investigation. I think where we are here, it's my opinion, Dershowitz has moved into some dangerous territory with his efforts to attack and discredit this law firm down in South Florida. These are real lawyers, Tom. These guys, I don't care who Dershowitz is. Dershowitz can line up in a courtroom the same way anybody else can. And right now, he is in their crosshairs because they have been put in a corner. And so I think this is going to continue to heat up. This is Bill Cosby's story on steroids.
Yeah. 30 seconds, Pap, left. Is this beyond the statute of limitations? Are these guys beyond the reach of the law?
No, they're not. There are all types of ways to look, if you open this case and you show that there was some fraud involved in how all this took place, that's going to be a serious problem for everybody.
Yeah, amazing. And I'm guessing there's probably civil damages as well that could be recovered.
Huge.
Mike Papantonio, thanks so much. It's great to see you, Pap. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom.